Great to be back home in Autzen. Hats off to the crowd because they were incredible. And I think one of the biggest plays of the game was them causing them to flinch and back their kicker up 5 yards right before halftime. As you saw, that kick was just barely short, and obviously providing us with preventing them from gaining some momentum in at the end of the first half. But overall improvement, getting back on track, doing some of the things that we want to do and want to establish. And with that being said, we'll open up the questions.
Right here, front row, James.
Mario, after the emphasis on the run game all for the past 2 weeks, especially this last week, opening the game with 6 straight runs on first down, ultimately ending the night with 200 and that backbreaker there late. Mm-hmm. Can you assess just the ground and pound mentality here tonight?
Well, we made a decision. The guys, we talked about it, and it was about enough is enough. We're going to put our foot in the ground, and we are going to recommit ourselves to being the physical team that we started the season as. And it was important to do so in practice, in the way we approach practice, and just being open and honest with ourselves as a staff and as players that, we know what our identity is, and we just have to go and put it together and go do it. And we worked at it, and it was good to start the game like that, just come on out and get physical and be able to establish some pretty good play at the line of scrimmage.
In the middle on the right, Steve.
Mario, wondering how long you've been waiting for the fake field goal there with Blake, and that was one of the few special teams plays that kind of flipped the field for you guys in the first half.
Yeah, well, when I asked Bobby for it, you should have seen the look on his face. He was like, huh? Because you practice those things for years, and the players are always wondering when you're going to use them, when you're going to use them. But it had looked good in practice. And they, there was a hole there for us to have. And, the way that they bring that overload rush, as long as, the holder does a good job putting the ball down, you have a chance. You have a chance for that edge to collapse and get around it. And Blake did a great job getting those guys sucked in and getting outside. And then Jake did a great job breaking the tackle. But in special teams overall, starting off the game with Ugo's punt return, and just the way that the punt return team set that particular return up was really it was impressive. Hats off to those guys, to Coach Bobby Williams, the way that he just continued to work with our guys on technique and fundamentals. It really showed up big in tonight's game. The only shame of it was, we missed a real short field goal, which we can't do that. And then on their fake, we actually had a guy assigned to. We felt the fake was coming, and we felt that we could bait it. And but our guy lost him. So that was something that we certainly got to work on, so we don't get hit by it again. But overall, some really good special teams play.
On the right here, Ryan.
Mario, you guys only had one penalty all night, but it was a pretty costly one. Just how do you feel about that call, and what do you have to do to make up for that loss in the first half next week?
Well, it's a great football player that was ejected in a critical part of the game, but the rules are the rules, and that's the judgment that was passed on, and then we have to abide by it. I don't, of course it's frustrating when you lose a great player, but I don't think you ever take the stance to vent and be upset with, these officials are working their tails off. They're trying to do things the right way. Certain rules are in place for it. It was a great play. It was a great play and a great block, and, I guess it's probably best to leave it right there.
Back middle. Thanks.
Coach, your team scored more points tonight than combined from the previous 2 games. What changed for you guys offensively tonight for you guys to be so effective?
Yeah, we were very good that first half over at Washington State, and obviously last week we were really, really poor. It all starts with the run game, right? I think the way that we're built, the personnel that we have, the lack of depth that we have at certain skilled positions. We're built to do a certain thing a certain way, and when we don't do it, like we found ourselves last week, we're in scramble mode. We were in just different kind of territory, and something that we have to just do a better job like this week of making sure that we could not only stay on schedule, but create the right type of opportunities for our players, and to make sure that sometimes you got to ride the blocking of the perimeter guys. Sometimes it's the tight end and the fullback. Sometimes it's the offensive line. But again, to me, the biggest credit to the players for all of us getting together and making a decision that we were going to get back to the ways that we felt we were headed in the first 6 games of the season.
Second row left, Haley.
Coach, can you talk about Dylan Mitchell a little bit and how much of a big night he had, but also the pressure that was put on him? I mean, some incredible pressure that he overcame and had such a big showing, and talk about his talent.
Well, I don't think there was pressure put on him. Just so we all know, and I was very honest with everyone. You know, concussion protocol is it runs its course. You know.
Other players on him. I'm sorry, not pressure by you.
Oh no, and I don't mean that. I thought you were asking reference pressure coming back after having an injury.
Right. Okay.
Okay. In terms of the pressure put on by
The defense.
the defensive guy. Well, you know what? He's always going to face man coverage. He's going to face trail coverage. You know, over, under, one over the top, one underneath, and you know he didn't get to practice his normal practice schedule this past week because you have to go through that protocol. So the combination of that, they zero in on him. The combination of him knowing that and then not being able to practice with us the entire week and still going out there and performing like that. Tremendous credit to him as a competitor, to his teammates for supporting him, to Justin for finding him. So, again, it's can't say enough about it.
Defensively, it felt like 2 of their 3 touchdowns looked like maybe somebody missed a coverage there, but on those 2, but then other than that, only the one of the touchdown, it felt like for the most part kind of limited their explosion plays, other than maybe those ones on the busted coverage.
Yeah, the first one was a miscommunication between the corner and the linebacker, so that's how that tight end split the seam and got free. And then we did a good job shoring up versus a run game. You know, they had some pretty, I wouldn't say explosive runs, but chunk runs, 8, 10, 12 yards. Then we started tightening up a little bit and shored some of that stuff up. But, you know, their tempo puts a lot of pressure on you. It really does. I thought our pass rush was a lot better tonight. We really put the quarterback in uncomfortable situations, got to him, forced the fumble. The front 7 really came up big tonight, in a couple different ways.
Right here front. No, James.
Mario, when ultimately did you know for sure that Justin and Dylan were going to play? And I know you touched on a bit with Dylan there, but anything surprising at all about his performance, just given that he didn't practice? I know what you're certainly well aware of his capabilities, but because he didn't practice this week, anything surprising about his performance? I
would agree. I think, this is still college football, and I think that college guys need to practice throughout the course of the week to be at their very best. The fact that they were actually not practicing in the early part of the week and then started practicing because they were cleared very early. We just wanted to ease it back from just an emotional standpoint and just a pace standpoint. And the fact that with the practice that they had, which, again, it wasn't like they didn't practice. I mean, they probably got 60+% of the reps. It's a tribute to them to play so well. It really is, especially against a team like that. They have good players. I mean, that's a team last year we went up to their place and they put it on us pretty good. They have good football players and really good athletes. So hats off to both Justin and Dylan.
Kind of touched on the defensive line, but Austin Fiala hasn't been healthy for the last couple of weeks. How much of an impact does the improved play of the defensive line correlate with him being back and 100%?
Yes. No, a lot, without a doubt. He is an explosive guy. You watch him, when he's out there, he's a guy that really changes the line of scrimmage. Like, he makes a dent and he goes that way, which makes it really tough to run certain things, especially the way that we play him. He's a 3 technique. He's a 4-eye. We move him around. He's a great mismatch in the passing game as well. So he played a big role. And, those other guys, Gary Baker's coming around. Carlberg continues to improve. So overall, they play really good together. But without a doubt, Austin's a big piece.
On the right front, Ryan.
Mario, how important was Justin Holland's strip sack to reestablish the momentum? Because I think that happened right after you guys got stuffed on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 to give them the ball back.
Without a doubt. We went, it was 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. We didn't get it, which we'd go for it again if we had to. Really would. And so we needed something. We needed something right there. You know how momentum in college football goes now. You got to have it and you got to keep it. And if they get it away from you, you got to get it back. That thing turned it, and it turned it fast. Great play by him. Again, can't speak enough about him, the type of year that he's had. He's come up big, and I think tonight, what we saw, he played with a relentless engine tonight. I mean, he really got after it, and he caused a lot of problems for UCLA's offense.
Second row, left, Eric.
You guys faced a lot of short yardage and goal line situations, and kind of it seemed like an even split in terms of success. How do you assess those situations and your guys up front?
Talking about tonight.
Fourth downs and goal line stuff.
Tonight, 3rd was 8 of 17. 4th down was 2 of 3. So we missed 1 on 4th down. For the year, we're really good. For the year, we're almost 100% on short yardage, whether it be 3rd and 4th and on the goal line as well. But the one we missed tonight, we knew what they were doing. They were playing the underfront. 4 down. They were moving up the mic and the wheel at the line of scrimmage so that your angles had to be a little bit flatter. We just felt we'd get a crease in there. The safety came up, and I believe it was Travis that carried the ball, if I'm not mistaken. They met right at the line of scrimmage, and we couldn't get that extra push that we needed. So, but overall, there's a lot of good stuff going in there, and especially when we just kind of line up and do it. It's kind of a good way to establish a mentality.
We have time for 2 more. Back, left, 3.
You've touched on this a little bit, but your first 4 touchdowns results from special teams play and your defense. How much did that really help you guys find momentum on the offensive side of the ball? And looking back on this game, how important was that for you?
It plays a huge role. We've learned from our players and in talking to them. The Sunday was a really big day for us. Sunday was a day when we got back from our trip to Arizona. We kind of pumped the brakes on everything, and we just opened up and talked. And we had individual meetings with every single player on this football team because we want to know what was inside. And one of the things that was inside that really popped was the fact that the offense really feeds off the defense and the vice versa. And that overall our guys wanted to hold our special teams unit to a higher standard and make them more accountable, and that they were going to take it upon themselves to coach and push and challenge each other on special teams. And I think what you saw tonight was a product of that, of just a decision, hard work, and some good execution.
From middle, James, last question.
Two-part here, Mario. The first being just an update on Lana, because I know I don't believe he played in the second half. And secondly, not to belabor the point on the run game, but because of how rough last week was, Shane talked about it being a blow to the self-esteem, in particular for the offensive line. I'm sure Marcus was certainly facing a lot of criticism. What can reestablishing things and getting back to this do psychologically more than anything for your program, for everyone in this building?
Yeah, that's a great question. When you don't play well and you encounter these tough times, you learn a lot about yourself, right? And sometimes people want to say, "Oh, just forget it and move on," and we say, "No way, you don't forget it. You don't. You got to make sure you understand that when you don't play well, it's almost like having an indictment, of the way you played. And when you have something like that, you have to understand that all these bits of negativity that come with it, all the struggles that come with a tough, little spurt or something, as a player, as a competitive football player, you've got to learn how to take that and turn that into fuel and positive energy. And that's a decision I think that every real great competitor just does at some point in time in their career, in their life, even as a man and as a woman, I'm sure, all of us, we all do it. And I think that's what you saw. I think you just saw a group of guys say, enough is enough. Lana, I don't know yet. But he did not, not being able to return, I'll get an update, at some point in time tonight, x-rays and MRIs and all that stuff, which we get some pretty quick reports on that. Sorry, I don't have that for you, but we'll get it to you. Okay.
Thank you, Coach.
Guys, thank you.